was because they were of Dutch descent and they came from Maryland. The Spaniards, my mother's people, were Dutch.
You said that this town was established at the end of Thomas Jefferson's administration.
During the end of that, yes.
Is that right? And was considered at one time, I guess, considered the county seat.
Well, they didn't count. At one time, you know, Owen County was a part of Gallatin. We only had 3 counties. We had Jefferson and Gallatin and Fayette. And so we're a part of Gallatin County. Now, all of the records of this church, the first records of them, are over in Warsaw in that courthouse because they took them over there to safekeeping. And
Okay.
we didn't have a courthouse at that time. But
You said you had a college here,
yes, women's college here,
and a hatter,
yeah,
and a woolen mill.
well, mill, brick kiln. I don't know whether the brick in this house were baked in that kiln or not, but we did have it.
So
And
this was,
we had a Catholic church here. But it was moved from here in they moved it in 1906 or 7, and did away with it and moved the cemetery and all and everything. But it was, I'd look out my door to where it sat.
now, why would New Liberty, I mean, of course, the traffic patterns have changed.
Yes.
The road that I'm on now is US 127, goes in front of the old Coates Farm.
Yeah.
That was originally a State Highway 16, I'm told.
I don't know what it was.
But the road where Little Hope was.
I cannot remember numbers of roads.
But the road that came through New Liberty, why was that, I mean, New Liberty would have been a place of commerce. What was it about the road coming through here? Where did it go to and come from that would have brought people through New Liberty?
Well, the road came through here. Sanders was called Liberty Station. And it was from the railroad that went. But then after the Twins, that was when they changed the name. But to see Twin Creek goes this way, and that road brought you out down at Sparta, and then you went up to Owenton. That was the way you got to Owenton. And the short road that you go to Owenton City. But the reason that people came here was because of these 2 springs. One of them was I've got 7 acres behind this house. And the house that's up by the church, and a woman from Washington has bought that and is restoring it. There's another spring there. And that's why they call it the Twins, the spring. They came here because of the water, and because of that spring at Sanders, and because of the timber. It was all mahogany timber, they tell me. And of course, I don't know all of those details, but we wonder about it. But I can remember as a child how we could still go through this road and get to Sparta. You know. Now, of course, it's closed up. You can't get there. Can't go
I
there.
mean, the one that goes straight on out past the church.
It goes on to Sparta.
Do you remember any Stevensons from Sparta, by any chance?
Well, I've known the name a lot, but I don't really know any people that I can remember. From Sparta, you said?
Yeah, or from the county, any Stevensons that you might have taught down here?
No, I don't think I have had any dealings with the name. Well, who is that preacher that was Stevenson? There's a preacher that's a Stevenson that his daughter married Junior Grisham.
Oh, you're right.
That's the only Stevenson I know, but I don't know where they came from.
My father was born right on the corner of right around the Sparta area, and then
Oh, sure enough.
and then well, right inside I think it was actually right between where Gallatin and Grant and Owen County sort of meet there. And he pitched baseball though
Oh.
down
My
through this
husband
territory.
was a baseball fan. That was the disappointment in his life. He always wanted to play league baseball. He started playing when he was 14. Of course, the family that raised him. They wanted him to work. They didn't let him play baseball, so he was disappointed. I've been a baseball fan all my life.
What was his father's name?
My husband's father,
Yes.
John. He was from Henry County. Well, now I don't know whether Henry or Fayette, both, but he married the first time, and then his wife died, and then he married the second time. He married this mountain girl from Breathitt County. She was a Jet, J-E-T-T, and that was my husband's mother.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were born in what year?
1908.
1908.
This November the 28th, I'm going to be 95.
95.
And some days I say, Lord, please don't let me get to be 95. And then the next day I feel pretty good, and I say, well, Lord, let me just get to be 95. See, I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
Now, did you say you're going to church in Poplar Grove, or you did?
Pardon?
Did you say you go to church at Poplar Grove?
No, I go up here.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never been to any other church. But when I was a baby, when we moved out here, well, my daddy and mother drove a horse and buggy to Poplar Grove and went to church. But my great-great-grandfather, John Joe Crouch, gave the ground for that church.
The deed to my property has an Athol Crouch in it.
Athol Crouch was Addie Couch's son. But I couldn't think of Bud. I wanted to call him Bobby. I wanted to call him everything. And I thought, well, you ought to know.
I believe his initials were O.B., but
Yeah,
I don't know
you're
what...
right. OB's right. And that the old house down there where the colored people lived for so long, you know, down right in Poplar Grove.
Yes.
That's where my great-great-grandfather lived.
Oh, is that right? Now, do you remember an older house on the Bub Coates farm other than the one that I'm living in now?
Well, I remember there was a house. But
Was it a frame
a
house or a
frame
brick?
house.
You know, my house is built out of some very old brick,
Yes.
and the floor joists have nails in the bottom. So
Well,
they've been
Did
recycled.
Athol build your house?
There was a barber from Detroit, and I believe his name was that Athol Crouch?
I mentioned you. I think Athol is the one that came back and they began dividing the Coates land off and different ones of them buying it. And I lost that along there somewhere.
There was a fellow from Detroit who came down and built my house.
Yeah.
But I was told that he built the house from the materials that he salvaged from the house.
Well, I think you're right. I think they tore it down. I don't think it burned. I think they tore it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be, well, that was done in the late 1930s, or maybe in 40.
Yeah, we've been there now almost 20 years.
Does your wife teach you?
No, she did teach school. She taught preschool.
Well, that's what I thought she
Yes.
was.
She was a preschool teacher for about 10 years, and then started to find that was becoming more difficult than she could deal with.
Mm-hmm.
As you can probably understand, she was teaching children that were 3 years old and younger, and
Well,
very difficult
it's
to
like
get
I
them
tell
disciplined.
you, people say to me, why don't you, you're well enough, why don't you, with angina or any other heart condition, it's brought home to me every day. I'm sitting here talking to you all, and you all know I've got my mind. But that don't mean in an hour from now I won't be gone. And in the shape I'm in, when I go out and see how people dress, the language they use, well, if I never heard some of these words outside of your own, I don't enjoy those kind of people.
Yeah, it's disturbing, isn't it?
It does. And I said, well, shoot, I'm better off. I pick up. I'm not. I usually get one book read a month. Sometimes I read two.
Wonderful.
And so
Do you remember any of the, did you remember what's, in your classroom when you taught, what were the most students that you had at one school?
I think there was 28 that I had.
And they ranged all grades?
Yeah, oh yes.
Up to the first through the eighth grade?
Yeah. I think it was 28 that I had. I may have had more in Bromley School one year, but I just don't remember. And of course, as I tell you, you see they move so often. You'd have them this week, and then if they change farms, and the tenants. That's the word they use. I reckon that's as good a word as any sharecroppers. But that's a handful.
It certainly is a handful. Absolutely.
And I never will forget when they was building the elementary school up here that they built. They came out with this idea, no petitions. Everybody's going to be in the open. And I thought, Lord have mercy. The poor little old 8-room school, one-room schools, we were just crying for a petition. And here they was going to originate one. But they didn't stick with it. They put in for this. There was times, they weren't difficult, but there was just times when they were more rowdy than other times, and you would just have to let them get it out of their system, I did one thing that I wasn't very proud of. I had one, this was in a Bromley school, this one in a little hole. Bromley School did have some screens in their doors, but anyway, there were two little boys. There were Slaughters, that was their name. One was named Charlie, and one was named Malcolm. Charlie was the youngest one. He was a little devil. Cutest, sweetest little boy you ever saw in your life. And their grandparents was raising them. Come to school every morning, clean overalls on, little blue shirts. But Charlie couldn't keep his hands off girls. He liked girls. And he was sitting behind the little girl, and I had taken and put geraniums in the windows in some little pots. And he would pinch a little bit of dirt out, and he'd put it down her neck. I watched him, and I didn't say anything about it the first day. Next day, he started. I got up from my desk. Now the psychiatrist and your PhDs would say that I didn't know what I was doing. I went back and I reached over in the pot, and I got me a little bit of it. I walked around to the front of the desk and I said, Charlie, open your mouth. And he looked at me. I said, open your mouth. And he opened it, and I put it on his tongue. He never did put any more dirt down there.
Well, we're from dust to dust, and so little pinch of dirt's not going to hurt him, is it?
No. And I thought I'd just say, yeah. But you had to do a lot of things.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Well, I hope we have not overstayed our welcome.
Well, you're not overstayed your welcome, but I am here again. My southernality is showing. I'm so sorry that I can't invite you to lunch, and I wasn't able to have a lunch for you. These are the things that I miss. But I don't cook for myself anymore. I can't, because I'm still using that 8-inch iron skillet. they always, these people are all deficient in iron. I said, no, I'm not. I've been using that skillet now for over 80 years.
That's right.
And I'm but I can't lift it. And I am afraid that I will scald myself and things like that. I'm just sorry. But I wish you, I hope I've been a little help. I still don't feel like I've been much help, but
You've been a tremendous pleasure.
Miss Moody, I mean this sincerely. I said a little prayer of thanks. When you sat down and played music, that to me was an extreme treat. I feel so fortunate.
well, now
that-
I can sit there. I have made quite a few tapes for my friends who want to remember me. The other day, it was suggested that I would still teach Sunday school and put them on tapes. I despise recorded music. You know, it just don't fit me. When I grew up and you were a girl, now I never was poor. I'm not bragging. I'm just thanking the Lord. We were not rich, but I was never poor. I've always been provided for well. And my husband and I prospered. I think you can tell that. And all, but I tell you right now, it gets on my nerves to see how people live and do, and it's like entertaining. I just can't. I want you all before you leave. Now I'd be glad for you all to walk upstairs if you wanted to. There's 3 bedrooms up there. But if you don't want to, it's still all right with me. But you're here if you want to, you can. But I want to show you this suit of furniture where I'm residing. So
All right.
get your you can get your paraphernalia anytime you want to.
Okay.
Call organized. Social.
Is that
No, this is not a house that's open to the public. This is my home. It's the door. See how my wardrobe's clean. I wanted to show you.
Oh, is that?
If you notice the mantles, Mr. Terry, they're hand carved, all cherry.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious.
I was
Beautiful.
telling you, this silver is my great grandfather's. On the
Oh my, yeah. Isn't that pretty?
Just what a.
and they give their eye teeth, and I wanted them in.
Well, I didn't feel more fortunate, but they wouldn't come in mine either, so that's okay.
And they've called me up to it. Okay. And all of these paintings in here, Miss Ferry, was done by our local artist.
Is that right?
Mr. Threll.
Father's,
No, it's my mother's grandfather.
Your-
Sue. And of course, I've got 3. That's my father on the left, that's my husband on the right. But go this way and look at the dresser. This is my great grandfather's furniture. He went housekeeping. The bed, the dresser, and this. Look here, where you put your towel.
Oh yeah.
That's where you. And I have a beautiful water set that goes there. But when you've had heart attacks, you have to do a lot of things. So I want to tell you, that's my father on the left, Mr. Stephen, and my husband on the right.
Your father on the left here?
Yes, that's
I have some beds like this that we got out of my wife's grandmother's house. And it was built in 1888.
yeah.
And her grandmother's home sits on the site of a Civil War battle. And you may have heard the story of Jenny Wiley.
Yeah,
And
I
it-
know
it-
Jenny Wiley's story very well, but been to the grave.
Well, the home place where my wife is from, that was the Indian
What was
camp.
her name?
Was the site at which Jenny Wiley was held captive and from which she escaped.
I see.
And they stayed
I know where you
there in the-
Sure.
Sorry.
Well, thank you, so much. May I go upstairs?
Yes, yes, what we call, you know, painted glass windows, and that was just, I imagine today that if you had to put them in, you'd have to sell a farm to pay for them, wouldn't you?
Right, you certainly would.
You want it was made before he was born. And he's got his initial on the back of it where he cut it.
So you're upstairs, Lucille's home.
What a treat.
Well, the original student desk.
Even has an inkwell. I'm just letting him take his picture. Desk, the school desk.
That's from the school up here in New Liberty before they tore it down.
Okay.
Beautiful, Omar.
It's absolutely unbelievable that there are these quaint little pieces of history that are existing, but you know, not very many people are as fortunate as we are to be able to have
Enjoy.
somebody share them with us. It's just a great, great opportunity. That was it. Was there another switch you turned on?
No, that's all.
Okay.
Time for class.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
That is wonderful.
you have a
I'm also a past president of Rebecca Lodge in the state of Kentucky and held 2 international offices, and those are gambles that I used. Oh, now I haven't charged you all a thing, but I'm going to charge you something.
Yes, ma'am.
Please remember me in your prayers that I can be carried out of here rather than having to leave it. It's not because it's any finer than anybody else. It's just that I just don't want to be separated from it.
Will there be somebody who will have the love for it that you have that'll be able to take care of it?
I doubt it. I was going to say, if you find somebody that's got a pocket full of money, I have talked about selling this. I don't want to sell any of my land because, as far as I know, God's not making any more land, and my interest money is so doggone cheap. I'm thinking about taking everything I've got and bringing it home, putting it in my sock top. And but if I could find somebody, I have willed it to an individual. But if I could find somebody that would buy it now,
And care for it.
yeah, but then I'm selfish. I don't want anybody else in it. A topic of conversation for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a record of what they said about me.
I mean, I have to tell you, just a great treat. for
Well,
me.
I will tell you this, not everybody gets to do it, as I told you.
I started running.
Well, let's hope that he isn't doing that.
If I'd have known I was going to be in Playboy, I would have put on my bikini.
Are you able to get both?
Are you on record now?
Yeah, it's on record.
All right. Well, John, what do you think about your opportunity to meet Miss Moody here, the teacher from Little Hope School?
I think that as former superintendent of education for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, I'd like to just say to Miss Moody, God bless her for all that she did, all that she's been, and all that she's going to be, because I think the good Lord's going to keep her here to ministering to others and to providing wisdom to our young people. And I know that this television show is going to be seen by a lot of people. And I want you to pray for Miss Moody that she can stay healthy as possible and stay in her home as long as the Lord will allow her and it's in His will. And in final words, I'd like to say to her, have I told you lately that I love you? Can I tell you once again somehow? Have I told you lately, Mrs. Moody, how I love you? Well, Mrs. Moody, I'm telling you right now. God loves you, and so do we. Thank you for sharing your time and history with us today. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I made television. And I didn't have to strip to make it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I told somebody the other day, I said, I meant to tell you to look at my photograph up there when I was in the finishing school. I said, when I was 16 and had something to show, they would have arrested you. I'll be darned, I'm going to show them now for free.
The old church.
1 o'clock bell, I guess.
Now this church, the name of it today is still the same, right?
New Liberty Baptist Church. It was the Twins, Church of the Twins, originally.
And this was the parsonage here, huh?
And look at the gate on the sidewalk. I mean, you've got cut limestone walls. You've got a gate on the sidewalk that leads to the front door of the church. You know, and there's Miss Moody just 3 doors away, and she can walk here for service. And you can see the old roadbed going down there, John. See it heading down into the woods? Can you see where it's raised up on both sides? Right here? There's the old roadbed. It drops off that side, drops off this side. That would have been, she said the old road used to go all the way
Through.
Owington, yeah, that way.
Putting in tobacco over there, didn't it? I'll just follow you.
Okay.
Give me a little chance to get settled in the
You know, with a zoom you can get right here. You can kind of get a flavor of the old shutters in the side of the building.
Now tell me a little bit about this place, Mark.
This is the Little Hope School in Owen County. It's just a few miles outside of Glencoe, very near the community of Poplar Grove. It's one of the last standing one-room schoolhouses in Kentucky. And the teacher who was here is Miss Lucille Moody from New Liberty. There's a wonderful repository of history about Owen County and teaching in the one-room schoolhouses. And I think that there's probably a lot of parallels between what's happened to this building and what we've seen across the whole Commonwealth of Kentucky as it relates to education and everything. At one time we had a little hope, and now it's just been neglected.
And I'd like to think that through the efforts of you and your program that we can, if not completely restore a little hope, at least we can let people know what they've been missing.
Well, one of the things we like to do